Hey everybody, I'm Garcia, and today I'm taking a look at the expansion to the card drafting game Dream Home called 156 Sunny Street. This expansion mainly includes a couple of new modules, new concepts you can add to the game either all at once or separately. You're going to get two of those, which give you new scoring opportunities. And then the other part of the expansion here is that now you can play with 5 or 6 players, as well as including a solitaire play variant, all right? So let me show you how this goes. Obviously, I'm not going to go into how Dream Home works. Go check out our video for that if you want to know how the original base game plays out. But if you are familiar with the game and want to see what's included in this, then stick around, let me show you. I'll see you on the other side of that for some final thoughts. So here's everything that comes with the expansion. You get 2 modules. You get the construction plans over here, and I'll go over those in just one second. And you get over here the family and friends module, and I'll talk about that as well. Let's get the rest of this out of the way for now. So another thing you get in the expansion is 2 boards for playing with 5 or 6 players. You are going to get an extension to the main central board here. So this is not in the expansion, of course, but this is. And you would just add that on to that board to create a new position for cards to be drafted. And you are going to get some new decor, as well as new cards to include in the decks. Now these are tagged with 5+, and you would add those when you're playing with 5 players, and 6 players, which of course you would add when you're playing with 6. And so you've got, some cards for each of the 2 decks. These do largely the same things. There's a couple of different, helpers and things like that, but for the most part, it's things you've seen already. You got new roofs, different colors than that are in the other original deck. And you've got a couple of helpers that allow you to create a room that is one card above another, things like that. But there's some minor changes to the original concepts, but largely the same, and you're not even going to use all this stuff if you're playing with fewer than 5 players, unless you want to deal with a little variant that they include in the rule book, which says, yeah, you can technically remove some cards and add some of these new cards if you want to, mess with them. But again, that's sort of a variant only to force yourself to feel like you're using your new goodies, I guess. And then, as I said, some new decor, which is the same as in the original game. So I'll just set those aside, and I'll set this board aside as well. So let's talk about the other stuff, the new content you can play with with any player count. We've got our new score pad as well, by the way, just to give us a line down here for the friends. When you score construction plans, they intend for you to include that in the functionality line. So there you go. All right, so let's talk about these first, the friends first, okay? So you are going to reveal a number of these at the beginning of the game equal to the number of players plus 2. And so if I'm playing with 3 players, I would reveal 6 of these. And then during the game, on your turn, after you have claimed some cards, added them to your dream home, then you may take one of these and add them next to a floor. And so the trick is, let's bring this in as a as a reference point here. So let's say, for example, that I've got a living room and a kitchen, and I've just placed that in one of my 2 main stories here, so first floor or second floor. Well, I can then claim this character and add them to the appropriate level. And so as soon as I've got let's say I had a living room here and I've just gone ahead and added a kitchen over here, well, I can now take this character and put it at that level. I've invited that friend over, and I'll be able to have at most throughout the game 1 of these family and friends cards on one level, on first floor, and 1 on the second floor. That's as much as you can do, all right? And so that's going to give you some victory points, a little bonus at the end of the game, and that's pretty much all they do. So as soon as you qualify for 1, you can take 1. The ones revealed at the beginning of the game are the only ones that are going to be available for the entire thing. There are 12 of these in total, and that's basically it. Very simple, just little goals for you to achieve and maybe get a few extra points out of them. And then the other module we've got here, the construction plans, you are going to separate these into 3 and 5 victory point piles. So there you go. And then you are going to give each player one of each. And so let's say I end up with this one randomly, and I end up with this one randomly. You'll take a look at these two, and they'll give you some sort of goal, some sort of little, bonus for achieving a specific structural design. And so in this case, we've got here, let's see, this one says a 1 or 2 card living room on the first and second floor. And if I achieve that, I'll get 5 victory points. And then this one down here says a 2-card garage and 1 kitchen directly above it. At the end of the game, if I've achieved one of these, I'll score the victory points. So in this case, 3 or 5. Of course, if I've achieved both, I'll just score the best one. I'll just score the 5. And that's it. That's basically the whole thing. So, just a little direction at the beginning of the game to help you possibly score a few bonus victory points. You don't get both, you'll get at most 1. And like I said, if you score both, you'll just get the better one of the 2. These don't change either. You'll have the ones you began the game with, and you try to complete them. That's it. Ultimately very simple concepts of play here. Very little new content. Just these and these. And yes, you can play with 5 or 6 players. So let's go back up top and let me tell you what I think the expansion adds, or how it feels as it's incorporated into the game, and if I think it's a worthwhile inclusion to your copy of Dream Home. All right, so let's talk about 156 Sunny Street here. I'm going to break this down using my target audience system, starting with thematic ties. I think the theme here folds in nicely into the original concept, having these architectural plans, helping you, giving you some sort of focus right off the bat at the beginning of the game. I like that. And the idea of inviting people over to your home, I like that as well. Growing to 5 or 6 players, that's fine. But as far as the theme folding into what you were doing originally, no problem there. The aesthetics are largely a continuation of what was to be found in the original game, and I think that's very nice. That's one of the things I sort of worry about when an expansion comes out. Does it fold in from a visual and production point of view into the original game? And this one certainly does that. Replayability, how much does it add to the original game? I think this is fine. Again, 5 or 6 players, that's fine. I mean, it's going to allow more players to play at the same time. It doesn't really change the feel of the game too much. It might make the game slightly longer. And the new 2 modules, the central concept of the game, I think do add some replayability, certainly. But, and this is not the same time I'm sure I'm going to touch on this, but it does feel like there's not enough here. It's a very slight expansion at the end of the day. You're not getting a ton of new content, it seems to me. I would have loved to have seen more here. So yes, while there is increased replayability, if you were kind of getting sick of the game, I don't think there's enough here to refresh the game and make you go, wow, yeah, I should have never put this game down. It's time to play this thing a bunch more. You're going to replay it, and you will enjoy, I think, the new aspects that you were given here, but they are not as substantial as many other expansions that tend to be my favorites. Game length, as I said, if you play with 5 or 6, yeah, it's going to be a little bit longer, but the game's not long anyway, so I don't have a problem with game length. Ease of play, how easy is it to fold all of this back into the original game? I think the 2 new things are, again, slight, and they're simple to add, therefore, so that's good. The ease of play does stay low, and that's one positive way to look at what I'm saying from sort of a negative point of view, right? There's like, it's not a lot in here. Yeah, but it's also really easy to add in, and the game retains that family sort of, weight and feel. You can play with just about everybody, and the new expansions don't push that to a point where you go, well, now it's no longer a family game. There's been other games that I have felt that way about. So this one, from that point of view, stays true to what it was meant to be from the beginning. So thumbs up in the ease of play department. And then lastly, tactics and strategy and luck, things like that. I think that I enjoy having a focus from the beginning of the game, especially drafting games, right? There should be a reason why I'm keeping or wanting one thing over a different thing. Having the architectural plans, having the family and friends cards, they will help you do that. But there is not suddenly all this new appreciation of how you were playing the game before. You know, you're not taking the game and looking at it in a different way, in a different light. This is not a mind-blowing expansion, I guess is what I'm saying. So while there is content here that should be neat and feel, you know, fresh, it's also something that almost doesn't necessarily warrant an expansion. How much is in here? This is the kind of content that could have easily been in the original game, and no one would have, you know, batted an eye, because it's not a lot. Yes, you have more players now. Okay, fine. I don't really care about that. But the new concepts are a little basic. You know, they sort of, I don't want to say they designed themselves, but nothing here you open and discover and go, oh, that's clever. Yeah, okay, these are things we've seen. These are things that are fairly obvious and apparent, you know. The solitaire variant, let me talk about that. It's just one more of those variants where you just play the game, basically. It's not quite that, but you just play the game and see how well you did. And you write down your score, and you check some little table they give you that says, yeah, your house sucks, you know, and then you do it again and hope to get a better score. Not my favorite kind of solitaire variant. I can just do that. I mean, if I want to, I can just pull out the game and play by myself anyway. So overall, I'm not saying this is a bad expansion. I'm saying this is a small expansion. You know, it doesn't bring a lot to the table that feels new and fresh. And wow, this game is back in rotation for me now. And so I'm going to keep the expansion. I kept the original game. I like the original game. It's a nice family way drafting game, very attractive, simple to explain and teach. The new stuff is going to get folded right in there, and I'll probably often play with it, in fact, even when I'm teaching new people, because it is that simple for the most part. So I'm not saying don't get this expansion. It's a bad expansion. It's going to mess with your view of the original game. I'm just saying it's fine, and it's very obvious and straightforward. And was this enough content to warrant an expansion, or should there have been at least one new thing here that was a little bit flashier than what we get, you know? So having said all that, I like it. As I said, I like the original game, so this is going to get a seal of approval from me, but I was hoping for more at the end of the day. I really wanted something that was a little more grandiose, a little more clever, interesting, and conceptually new. So there you go. That is Dream Home Expansion 156 Sunny Street. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.